Good morning, everybody. It's Miss Cooper here. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. I hope you had a wonderful half term and you are back into the swing of things this week. So today I'm here to talk to you about World Environment Day, and that is celebrated every year all over the world on the 5th of June, which is in fact this Friday. So what is World Environment Day? Well, it's actually the most renowned day for global environmental action, and that is because every year on this day since 1974, governments, businesses, celebrities and citizens like us have come together to focus their efforts on a pressing environmental issue. So every year there is a different theme, and we're going to talk about this year's theme in a second. You'll also see that on the left-hand side there is a picture that says Colombia 2020. Every year there is a different theme and there is also a different host country, and this year's host country is Colombia, which is a beautiful country in South America. Now, the reason why Colombia has been chosen to host this year is because Colombia is actually home to over 50,000 different types of plants and animal species. And the reason why there is such a wide range of species in that country is largely because there's over 300 different types of ecosystems. A large number of these ecosystems are also protected, which means they are undisturbed by humans. The theme that has been chosen as this year's pressing environmental issue is biodiversity. And you can see on the screen there, for anyone that hasn't come across this word before, bio in fact means life, so biology is the study of living things, and diversity refers to a range of different things. So biodiversity describes all of the different species of life on Earth, which includes the 8 million plant and animal species, and the ecosystems in which they live. Well, why is biodiversity important then? The reason why it's been chosen as this year's theme is because biodiversity is in fact a very complex and interdependent web. What this means is that within an ecosystem, every single member plays an important role. And if one member is affected, then that can affect every other species in that ecosystem and the ecosystem itself. Biodiversity, it in fact affects every aspect of human health. You wouldn't necessarily think that, but it helps us to provide clean air and water. It provides us food. It gives us scientific understanding and medicine sources that we need for research, and it also provides natural disease resistance. Biodiversity, including the ecosystem, can also affect climate change, which, as we know, is a big issue at the moment. So as I mentioned, if you change or remove one tiny element of a whole web in an ecosystem, it can affect the entire ecosystem, which can cause real problems both for animals and us as human beings. In general, without biodiversity, life on Earth would not be possible. So why am I talking to you about this today? Well, I wanted to relate biodiversity to what is obviously going on in the current pandemic. Now, for all the scientists and the geographers listening, I'm sure everybody knows that humans over the last couple of hundreds of years have really pushed nature beyond its limit, and that is largely due to our increasing demands. At the moment, the Earth is becoming very unsustainable. 1 million animal and plant species are threatened with extinction, which means they will no longer be around, and that is largely due to a loss of their natural habitat. So an example that I could give you would be the Amazon rainforest. If there are species that are dependent, that are from the Amazon rainforest and they thrive in that ecosystem, as that rainforest is either burnt or cut down, they lose their homes. In the last 50 years, the population of humans has doubled. The global economy has almost quadrupled, which means 4 times, and global trade has increased by about 10 times. So you can see in the last 50 years how much the population and the dependence on our natural resources has skyrocketed. The problem is, unfortunately, the Earth can't keep up with this demand. At the moment, it would take about 1.6 Earths, so another 0.6 of what we currently have, to meet the demands that humans make of nature each year. And these demands come from fossil fuels, you can see from the pictures. They come from trees, which is a natural resource. They come from crops, to feed people, which is a natural resource. And the problem is, at the moment, the earth just cannot keep up. Now, unfortunately, over the last few months, it's become very clear that as we destroy biodiversity, as we eliminate species of plants and animals, as we destroy the ecosystems that they inhabit, we are also destroying the system that actually supports human life. There is a very, very delicate balance between humans and nature. And as humans, we have been reducing the biodiversity. We've been leading animal and plant species to extinction, and we have also, as we all know, contributed very dramatically towards climate change. Now, these human effects, unfortunately, have allowed us to create ideal conditions for the spread of viruses between animal and human populations. So my question to you, do you think that this is Mother Earth sending us a message? Is this Mother Earth telling us that we need to rethink how we treat our Earth? I want to now show you a short video on just some of the environmental effects of coronavirus, and more specifically, the environmental effects of lockdown since coronavirus. Anyone who might have seen this on the news, I'm sure will have heard about the case study in Venice in Italy, which is what we're going to look at.
Ma sicuramente più limpido, basta vedere il canale con l'acqua super calma, non ci sono le navi, traffico zero, certo che è più pulita.
Now, it goes without saying that obviously this is not an ideal situation. This is not a welcome change. However, it has been seen by many countries all over the world firsthand what the positive environmental impacts of the lockdown are. We saw those images of Venice, and in fact, in the Venice canals, dolphins have even been sighted swimming through the canals, which hasn't happened in many, many years. There was also some talk about the nitrogen dioxide emissions that have been reduced. Nitrogen dioxide is a gas that's released from burning fossil fuels, so burning coal, oil and gas. This might be in car engines, it might be when you're running a factory. And not only is nitrogen dioxide very dangerous for the climate, it does in fact also cause acid rain and very serious respiratory problems in humans. So the fact that those levels have dramatically reduced is a positive. Now, the worry is that when we resume normality, these environmental impacts will be very short-lived, and humans will go back to their everyday life, and these positive environmental changes will just be reversed and we'll go straight back to square one. So the question is, what can we do as citizens of the earth? What can we do to help ensure these positive environmental impacts are sustained? Well, as you know, we are a Bronze Award Eco School, and that means that we're committed to creating a more sustainable environment both at school and within our local community. We've talked about biodiversity, which is obviously the theme of this year's World Environment Day. And as part of our commitment to improving biodiversity specifically, our Eco Committee has already been out and planted local trees within our local community. We all know the very devastating effects of plastic, and so we're also currently working towards becoming a plastic clever school. We want to get to the point where we are no longer using single-use plastics. However, as I say, we are only Bronze Award. We need to work all the way up to our Green Flag Award. And to get us to silver, we are focusing on the following areas. So first of all, we want to develop a school garden, and that will encourage wildlife in the school grounds. Again, this is a big commitment to improving biodiversity, specifically in our community. We also want to work towards being a single-use plastic-free building, and that has started with all the water bottles that Mrs. George has very, very kindly given us. And finally, our third step to working towards an eco school is to monitor and reduce the amount of litter in the cafe and outside areas. Now, the Eco Committee, as brilliantly wonderful as they are, cannot do this without the help of every single person. So we need everyone in our Stockland Green family to work towards these goals to become a more sustainable school. I'm sure you've all seen as well this wonderful Joyful June House Challenge card that has come out at the start of this week. And within this challenge card, there are so many opportunities for you guys to have some fun, help the environment, and also get yourself some house points. So why not? You can see you can get active, go for a jog or a walk or a bike ride, try and find more sustainable ways of getting around. On the 6th, this Saturday, there's also an opportunity to gain house points to make something out of recycled materials. So all the artists out there, put your creative head on. This is a really wonderful way to stay positive, have fun, and also get yourself some house points. So make sure you are trying to complete as many of these as you possibly can. There is 3 house points for every entry, and if you enter 10 over the course of a month, you'll be entered into a prize draw to win a prize when we eventually do get back to school. It's very, very exciting. Your pictures or your entries need to be emailed to Miss Haynes, and the email address is there. So now it is over to you. As much as I'd like to, I cannot do this by myself, and our brilliant Eco Committee, as wonderful as they are, also cannot do this simply by themselves. We need to come together as a community to make sure that these positive environmental impacts are sustained. Now, I'm sure that since the start of lockdown, you've probably changed things about your daily life that have had a very positive effect on the environment. You may have done this without even realising. I'm sure many of you will have been walking and cycling more, and you won't have been in cars or on buses. I know that I certainly have been a lot less wasteful with my food, and you just sort of you can't get to the shop, so you have to cook whatever's in your fridge. You have to come up with very innovative recipes. Some of you I know have been gardening, growing plants, growing your own food. So what I want you to now do, I want you to make a pledge. And a pledge is essentially a promise of something that you are going to do. I want you to make a pledge to continue to do something after lockdown in order to benefit the environment. So these things could be, you might pledge to recycle more, you might pledge to pick up litter that you see, you might pledge to walk or cycle more. I want you to make these pledges, and I want you to make sure you send us them via Twitter. You can email them to me, you can email them to any of your teachers. So this is your opportunity to make a promise to the environment, and it's your opportunity to make a conscientious effort to have that positive impact, be the positive impact that you want to see. So obviously I wouldn't ask you to do anything that we wouldn't. So here's some examples of our pledges from the science department. My pledge, I've pledged to go vegetarian 3 days a week, as eating meat has a very, very big impact on the environment. Mr. Surridge, you can see he's pledged to walk and cycle everywhere that he can. Miss Winderbank has gone one step ahead. She's already acting out her pledge. She pledges to help sort out gardens for the elderly so they have an outdoor space they can enjoy. And Mr. Rimmer has pledged to grow some of his own vegetables as he has an allotment. So over to you. I want you guys to do what you can to make a pledge to the environment. So I'm just going to leave you with a moment of reflection. I found this image and I really like it. You can see you've got the Earth as it is now, unfortunately, largely due to human impacts. It's a bit broken, a bit wounded, and it's looking back on memories of what it used to be. So how have your actions towards the environment changed since lockdown? What have you done, maybe inadvertently, that has had a positive impact on our environment? And secondly, and most importantly, what can you do to make a difference? It starts with the individual, and today is your chance. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Stay safe and look after yourselves.